Rhea Ripley to get back with her ex-boyfriend, Judgment Day member kicked out. 4 ways WWE can end Liv Morgan-Dominik Mysterio relationship. WWE superstars Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio have been in one of the company's highest-grossing on-screen relationships. The heel couple was inseparable until Morgan lost her Women's World Championship to Rhea Ripley at the Raw premiere on Netflix, with a clear divide formed between them. Below are 4 ways how the company can put an end to Liv-Dom relationship. Number 4. Liv Morgan could kick Dominic Mysterio out of the Judgment Day. Liv Morgan lost the blind trust she had in Dominic Mysterio after he tried to get back with Mami seconds after she lost her title. Moreover, when Dirty Dom tried to make it up to her on this week's episode of Raw with a bouquet, Morgan seemed uninterested in mending things thus. The Miracle Kid could ditch her Daddy Dom and ask the Judgment Day to kick him out of the faction. The company could also use this to give Dom a babyface turn and a much more focused singles career this year. Number 3. The Miracle Kid could leave Dominic Mysterio for Finn Balor. While Liv Morgan has her differences with Finn Balor right now, her current situation with Dominic Mysterio could bring her closer to the Irishman. WWE has already teased on several occasions that Balor and Morgan could actually be having some behind-the-scenes chemistry thus. There is a chance that the Miracle Kid could ditch Dom and have an on-screen relationship with the Prince. This could help the faction rebuild itself, but around Morgan and the former Universal Champion this time. The two could then force Mysterio to be a lackey in the crew or kick him out. Number 2. Dominic Mysterio could ditch Liv Morgan for other world champs. Dirty Dom may have failed to get the Eradicator's attention once. However, he could try to melt her heart again. Although Mami has a lot of conviction, it has been seen that she gives Dominic Mysterio a lot of benefit of the doubt. Thus, he can crawl back in on Ripley's side. Dominic Mysterio also has Tiffany Stratton's attention. Ahead of Crown Jewel, Tiffy had asked Liv Morgan if she could have Dom along with the Women's World Championship if she cashed in her Money in the Bank contract on her. Now, while Morgan is no longer the world champ, the Buff Barbie is the new WWE Women's Champion. Thus, Dom could also gravitate to Stratton, and the two could start an on-screen relationship. Dominic Mysterio can steal Liv Morgan's best friend. Although Liv Morgan lost her singles title, WWE hinted that she could transition to tag team wrestling after her title loss. She had already traded blows with women's tag team champions Naomi and Bianca Belair alongside Raquel Rodriguez before losing her belt to Mami. However, Dirty Dom could play another trick on the inaugural Women's Crown Jewel champion and start dating Rodriguez. This way, he would not just steal Morgan's tag partner, but also her best friend thus. While Liv-Dom had a great run since the 2024 SummerSlam in August, the on-screen couple may part ways and try to screw each other over. It would be interesting to see what lies ahead for both of these promising superstars. Top WWE star is a disappointment. Her having a feud with Rhea Ripley would be terrible, says ex-employee. Rhea Ripley finally captured the Women's World Championship from Liv Morgan on the debut episode of WWE Raw on Netflix. With this win, it seems like the feud between Ripley and Morgan has come to an end, and the Eradicator could be set to face a new opponent. Recently, Tommy Carlucci claimed that a top superstar is a disappointment and should not start a rivalry against the Aussie star. Since returning to the Stanford-based company in 2023, Nia Jax has received a significant push. After winning the 2024 Queen of the Ring tournament, she beat Bayley to capture the WWE Women's Championship at SummerSlam. She recently lost the belt to Tiffany Stratton, who cashed in her Money in the Bank contract. Despite this, Carlucci and his Behind the Turnbuckle, The Last Word co-host, wrestling veteran Jonathan Coachman, claimed the irresistible force is a disappointment. The former WWE employee warned against putting Jax in a storyline with Rhea Ripley following their confrontation last Monday on Raw. I would think it would be Nia, a bigger disappointment than Mercedes Moné. You're right. They've given her a million chances, and it just seems that you see the same thing, like tonight headbutting Rhea Ripley. And I hope they're not going to start an angle with these two, because that would be absolutely terrible, because you got to get somebody you can work with. And big people can work. And she has a really hard time being safe with other superstars, if you know what I mean, he said. A wrestling analyst criticized WWE for not adding Nia Jax to the Bloodline storyline. Despite being a relative of The Rock, the Usos, Solo Sikoa, and Roman Reigns, Nia Jax has not played any part in the Bloodline storyline so far. In a recent appearance on the Keepin' It 100 podcast, wrestling analyst Ben Heyman slammed WWE for excluding the Irresistible Force and Jimmy Uso's wife, Naomi, from arguably the most popular angle in the past few years. Heyman claimed the former WWE Women's Champion and the Glow should join the Bloodline. "We got girls who should be in the Bloodline because one's married to a guy. Instead, she's doing, let me dance and do splits and twerk. And then the cousin, Nia Jax, should be in there, and she's not even tied in, and we're doing Tiffy time," he said. Jax announced last Monday on Raw that she would enter the Women's Royal Rumble. It would be interesting to see if she would emerge victorious. CM Punk shocks fans with sudden comments about Rhea Ripley, potential new partnership. CM Punk opened WWE Raw this week, but his comments have left fans thinking about him and Rhea Ripley. The star subtly made some remarks that led to a massive amount of speculation among the fans. Punk was ready for a big show and wanted to move on from Seth Rollins to whatever was next for him after beating the Star last week. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. After declaring himself for the Royal Rumble, the Star asked for his song to be played, but instead Seth Rollins' song was played. Punk was furious and was heard muttering that he wanted anyone else to interrupt him. He asked why it couldn't be Rhea Ripley interrupting him. He seemed rather interested in having Ripley interact with him. Unfortunately, this was not the case, and he interacted with Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. Both confronted him and made a few announcements that changed the coming weeks. With this being the case, fans will have to wait and see if Punk and Ripley work together in the future, and if they do, what that could look like. Female WWE superstar gives a unique name to her and Jey Uso's duo. It's not Rhea Ripley. WWE superstar Bayley sent a message to Jey Uso after this week's edition of Monday Night Raw. Both talents were featured in prominent roles on the program. Bayley was involved in a segment with Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax. The Irresistible Force confronted the newly crowned WWE Women's World Champion before the role model interrupted Jax. Meanwhile, Jey engaged in a promo battle with Gunther, setting up a World Heavyweight title match. At Saturday night's main event, the Ring General and main event Jey will lock horns for Raw's top men's title. On X/Twitter, Bayley shared a photo with Jey and came up with a unique name for their duo. Bayley became the #1 contender for the Women's Championship.